How's it going, everybody? I'm not much of a stander and talker, so I'm gonna walk. So I'm gonna try to take this old Dana 30 and start getting all the stuff cut off of it, the old control arms. I just kind of cut the control arms right down the center when I pulled it off the blue Jeep because all the bolts were kind of seized up, and yeah, so I gotta get all those torched off. I need to drain the fluids in it and get the knuckles off and the brakes, basically everything, so that I can weld a truss to it and pull the carrier out of it and basically go through it. So I'm kind of gonna do a time lapse of all that stuff going on and maybe stop and take some shots in between. Let's go. First of all, I gotta get the white Jeep moved out of here. So I have some room to work with this thing right here in the middle. Okay, let's get going on this thing. Well, that's kind of awkward. For some reason, I don't have the socket for the axle nuts. I don't know where it went because I've definitely used it before. So I might just try hitting them off. If not, I'll just have to drain the oil and grab the socket. Well, I mean, it's got oil. That's good. Hopefully it has the same gears in it. It should. It's the 355s. So I'm just gonna pull the whole assembly off. Just pull the ball joints and pull the axles still attached to the... So I'll just pull the whole thing with the axles still attached to the knuckles and brakes and everything. I will need to take them off eventually because I want to put new U-joints in these axles, and they will get used on the other Jeep. So right now I think that's what I'll do. Okay, here's the damage. So I got basically everything but the carrier and bearings out of it, and I think I'm gonna call it for tonight. The ball joints were definitely in there, probably the stock ones. They were definitely in there. So got those out, and I don't know what happened there. I was doing so good, and then I looked down and there's oil everywhere. So I don't know, but either way, we'll let this thing kind of drip out overnight, and I'll spray it out and get all that stuff pulled out. So I got all these kind of good parts. The only thing I'm really saving from here are the diff cover bolts and the axles. Once I find the right socket for this thing, I'll pull those nuts off and get the axles off and put new U-joints in them, clean them up, make sure there isn't too bad of burrs on the sealing surfaces. They feel really good. Yeah, so I think that's it for tonight. So I thought we were done for the night, but I just got a notification on my phone that one of the sellers Potato Sellers is having a fan air right now, and temps are getting kind of hot, so I'm gonna go check it out, but I'll show you what's going on here. So got bay 1 fan fail, so I don't know what's going on here, but there was definitely, never had a fan fail, so we gotta go check it out. So I mean, it's, let's see, 12:30 at night right now, so perfect time. Let's go look. Okay, so we're just pulling up right here, and there's some outside lights on these sellers that basically indicate current status. So there should be a red light on the side, which it looks like there is here, showing there is an air. See, there is a red light. Looks like the fresh air door is open. Nothing's running. See what we got going on here. Status, exactly like it said, fan fail. This is the freak drive for the fan, and it looks like it has an alarm on that. So, so this is the center cooling tunnel and the big humidicell here, giant humidicell. But that fan basically pushes air through the humidicell and pulls fresh air from the outside. Kind of does a little bit of everything. Does recirculations. Here's the back side of the humidicell. So let's see if we can see anything. I mean, we might have just lost a motor here. I don't have my megometer, but I could try megging it to see if we lost some insulation around the motor or not. But you can test the windings to see, basically you send a high voltage through to test a resistance and the quality of the motor windings, and that you can basically test the condition of the motor. But I don't have any of that stuff with me. Let's see if we can try to reset data push. It's trying to push the run signal, and it's just throwing this alarm. Door's opening right now, the outside door is, because it's actually kind of cool. Yep, and it just threw the air. But it's calculating the outdoor wet air temperature once it runs through that humidicell right now. So I mean, it's got some good air to bring the temps down. Set point's 36.5. and this is a efficient time to be running, so kind of sucks that we're losing run time right now. I actually tried resetting the Freak drive, and it looks like things are gonna come on. I don't know, let's see if it throws a code, but it's running almost flat out right now, 60 hertz. I'm gonna bring that down in case it's gonna get loud in here. So the opening, outside air. Like a turbine in there. Bring this down to 58 so it doesn't run flat out. It's gonna be loud again. Everything's working. Green light. Outside doors pulling in fresh air. Looks like everything's going good. I think it's finally time to call it a night. 12:30. So that didn't take that long. Simple fix. Hopefully it'll stay running all night. Got the trusty dogs with me, of course, all the time. Let's go home. Hey guys, so I got a couple things I got to do today. The loader that is used to feed cows over at the hay barn just blew a airline yesterday evening, so I didn't really get to it. So the guys had to use the squeeze. So I'm gonna go check it out and see what's going on. And then after that, I need to go grab the L9000 stubby truck, and the throttle linkage is basically the brackets broke off the ground. It's been rusted and it needs replaced. We've been going through the whole truck because it's kind of had a rough life. So that's gonna be the start of things today. So, and Luna's way too excited about it in the back. But yeah, so this is where this thing just blew out. It almost looks like it got hot, but normally when these things get hot and burst the line, it's towards where the heat's coming from. I guess it could be rolling over the top. But my dad just installed a air dryer on this before he left on vacation, and it looks like there's coolant kind of leaking, and there's just some hose clamps that I used in a hurry and didn't get all tightened up. So I tightened all those up. Hopefully it stops leaking, and then I'm gonna have to get another chunk of line here for this air compressor feed line. And it's just kind of weird that it burst. I mean, I think those are 300 psi burst. So I don't know what's going on here. We'll have to see. I don't think it's froze up. It's a brand new air dryer, and I don't know, maybe the trigger valve is having a problem, or maybe the governor's doing something weird, but I'll go get a different line here and we'll look at it. So I gotta come find I think it's a 3/8 airline here. It's our truck shop, and there should be something laying around here. Wait, well, here, use that line number again, or go get some more airline. I'm not seeing anything. So I think what I'm gonna have to end up doing here is just make a hydraulic line for it, because I don't have any more poly line, and I just don't get why I did that in the first place. It's probably pretty hot there by the compressor head. Most of the time you want that feed line to be stainless on over the road truck, but you know, don't always do it how it's supposed to be. That's farming and ranching. So I'll go make a hydraulic line, and I'll probably hold up to the heat a little bit better, and obviously the pressure. So it shouldn't take that long. So basically what I'm gonna have to do here, since I mean I only have a select few hydraulic fittings, and I mean I got a decent amount of line, but I don't have swivel pipe threads, and it's 1/2" NPT input and output of the compressor. So, well, input of the air dryer, output of the compressor. So I do have some of these swivels, so I can put this in the air dryer, kind of face down, and then just make a solid 1/2" hydraulic line, and with MPT, 1/2" MPT on both sides, and it should work pretty good. I got this giant hydraulic crimper from AliExpress, and I'm blown away by it. It's hilarious. It works awesome. I can crimp up to like, I don't even know how big that is. 2 1/2", 3" size once it's opened up. But yeah, no, it purrs, it runs good. It's got a little foot pedal, and you can dial it in for any type of fittings. You don't have to buy a certain fitting, because you just turn her on and dial in the indicator, and it dead stops at your set thing. So I'm probably gonna have to change the dies. This 30s are, that's for, I was doing 3/4" lines for our other loader down to feedlot. But yeah, she's pretty slick. So I'll make up a little line here, and we'll go put it on. Just like that. I got my ends crimped. They look good. I kind of bubble crimp them. I don't know, why not? This thing is the best thing for cutting hydraulic line. It's like, I don't know how much it is. Harbor Freight just takes normal grinder cutoff wheels. Fantastic. So, well, let's go get this thing put on. Okay, so I got that fixed. I just put that hydraulic line I made in there and replaced the old poly line. Kind of gave it some room, and then zip tied some fuel line cut as a little rubbing grommet, and then kind of zip tied it all together. These lines tend to shake pretty bad with like the frequency of the air compressor. So they tend to vibrate, so you want them zip tied pretty good around things, or they'll just wear through everything. So yeah, we'll start her up and make sure everything seems all right, and that the signal airline from the governor actually sets off the air dryer valve. And so this is a heating element that you basically hook to 12 volt. It's not really needed in what we're doing, because the key for this is if you operate in really cold environments like semis up in Alaska, this is heating that release valve the whole time, and that's where the water is actually blowing out the bottom of the air dryer, so it can't freeze up. So, but for us, you know, we'll get cold, but not for extended periods of time, and you don't have it working obviously when the loader's not running. So it doesn't really matter too much in our situation, but it's still there. If we ever have problems, we can plumb it in. So let's get this thing started up and see how she does. It actually had a bail fall on the cab for my stepbrother this year. Came right in here, he was lifting it and a bale fell off. So we had to bend all that back out and put new glass in it, but it's good to go. Let's see how she cranks here. Oh man, that scared me. Oh, we're good though. Everything's working. Initial problem really was those lines are just meant to be metal because the air coming out of that compressor top, I mean, it's hot. So that was probably the problem, but my dad was in a hurry, so he doesn't really want to figure out the hydraulic crimper yet, so yeah, I think this will get her going. So I better put the flaps down. That's how it stays warm in the winter. It keeps the heated engine in. So hopefully it kind of clears. It looks like he didn't cut the flaps out so that they seal. So maybe I'll do that sometime. Okay, the next thing here is the old L9000. We've been kind of going through it. I'll show you here, I'll flip you around. We've been going through it as it's had a very rough life. It's been a field truck. It's been pulling like 4024 hay trains with usually 12,000 pound blocks, 8 of them on it. So you can do the math there. No easy task. And it's needed a lot of maintenance. So basically, let me pop the hood here and show you what has been done and what still needs to be done. And of course, we got the classic F-Bros 69 on the side because that's how we do. So hydraulic reservoir, steering reservoir was power steering reservoir, whatever. Somebody was tried to braze the housing, and so it was leaking out the bottom. So we just got a generic housing and got that put on. And then it had a bad alternator. As you can see, new belts under there. So we put a new alternator on it, got some belts. The downpipe was all cracked out, so it's been welded. I just kind of sprayed it with some high temp paint so it won't just rust from the heat cycles. It got its oil changed, all the filters basically serviced, but it looks like the coolant filter is probably still the same one. That's fine, but it's got a rear main leak that's pretty bad, but that's no problem for us. We can keep adding oil in it. This fuel tank right here, terrible design. See that patch? So this other side has a nameplate of the truck, Ford, everything. Well, yeah, everything gets back behind there. Guess where's the first thing that rusts through? So I need to rip that off so it doesn't happen to that tank. It's probably too late, but it was just leaking fuel out of there. I mean, this thing was leaking out of every possible spot it could leak for about the past 2 years. So, but we ran it all the time, every day. So that's fixed. The exhaust was falling off. The batteries were basically dead. The rear PTO reservoir was leaking a bunch, and there was no brackets in here. It was basically hanging down in there. So now there's some brackets lifting it up, holding it in place. New filter that is leaking for some reason. I got to figure that out. There, the rear fifth wheel airlock. The ears were broke off the cylinder. It's got a new cylinder. I re-greased the fifth wheel plate. All new lights, LED lights, all the way around. So I put LED, and the rear LEDs. So the next thing I want to do is the working lights. I want to put LEDs up there because at night when it's 3 in the morning and it's gonna rain, we're hauling hay, it's kind of nice to have those lights. So the other thing I did, it's never had a heater. I have froze to death in this thing, moving things when it's like 1 degree out. So the heater box is all messed up. It's like impossible to find one. So I TIG welded one up, basically bent it, and it's all probably way too nice for this thing, but you know, it works awesome. So now it's got a heater. It's got a vent right there that blows down there, defrost, new heater core. The only thing is, I don't know if we got the heater shut off valves in here or not. Oh, there's one down there, and I think there's one on top of the block. Yeah, because I mean in the summer it just gets so hot, just blowing through that core. So yeah, and then the thing that I need to fix right now, well, that I'm going to start fixing right now, as there's endless things to always fix on this thing, is this throttle pedal is broke off the ground. So it's just been kind of, I mean, it's not really a problem. This is, I think, DOT approved, but who knows? Yeah, so I need to get that fixed. And one of the last things is, this thing has had like a stuck injector or some type of problem, fueling problem, ever since we got it. It's all of the fuel all of the time. So I'm surprised it hasn't just blown a hole in a piston or something. I mean, it doesn't get hot. It runs pretty good for what it's been put through. It's a 855 big cam 350, I think. They've definitely turned up the fuel, but there's still something else going on. So yeah, we'll have to look into that. But I'm gonna pull this bracket off and then figure out what I need to do to fix that. So I got this bracket pulled off. Oh, let me turn off my heater. This is, I mean, I couldn't really get it off. I wondered why I couldn't see back there, but somebody has it double nutted on that side. But yeah, I couldn't get it pulled off. So I'm gonna go make something that can basically do what that was doing. And this other hole that was right here, there was 2 holes. It was a rivet nut, and there's no way I'm getting that bolt out. I mean, the rivet nut's just spinning, and I'd have to cut it out of there. But we don't need that hole. We can make it with just 1 hole, and it's gonna be way better than what it was. So we'll go do that real quick. I gotta go get a bolt, and then we'll go make a little bracket. This thing pulled apart. This is the old piece, aluminum. I had to cut it out of there, so I got a new bolt here and a nylock nut for it, and I'm gonna make up a little pedal bracket. I gotta make sure it's really nice so I don't hurt the resale value of the truck, because I mean, obviously it's a super nice truck. So I'm gonna cut that right there. Make a new bushing. This bolt will go through, boop, and go in there. Then I will make a bracket that will then be welded off of that. I'll break it and then have a bolt hole. And hopefully, I think I'm gonna make it out of 18 gauge. I just don't know. You just have your foot slammed on the pedal all the time on that thing because there's no other way to drive it. So I might have to make it out of maybe like 120 or something a little bit thicker so that it can hold up. Well, I think it'll do. It's kind of underfilled, but I don't want to overheat the piece of pipe that I used as my little bushing, but it's kind of cool. It's just hanging there from the ground tack on the table. So, yeah. Well, let's break her off and I'll flip it over and just show you. It's pretty basic. Pretty basic. It's got a hole for the bolt on it. Come on, focus. Hole for the bolt right there. Go through the pedal. I didn't weld the inside. There's no need to. But this is the cutout for the old bolt that I'm not going to be able to get out. I might have to cut some more. I mean, I might have to grab the grinder when I'm over there, but pretty basic there, huh? So hopefully it'll fit in there, and just kind of eyeballed everything. So here's the old bracket. As you can see, it's, I don't know, very similar. So yeah, we'll see how it does. Before we go put the bracket on, I'm gonna go check on the cellar that we messed with last night, because it's been 12 hours. Since it had its problem. It's the next day at 11:53, so it's almost noon here. And let's go make sure all that's running before we go and put that bracket on. So it looks like we got no lights, that's good. And I mean, it shouldn't be running right now, no matter what, but we'll check to see if there was any alarms thrown last night. Everything looks good. It actually pulled the temperature down, see, to 38.1. So we're good to go. So hopefully it keeps running. So they aren't supposed to run through the day because, I mean, obviously there's an AC unit out here, refrigerant system that can cool during the day when it's hot, but using that night temp is the cheapest way to do it. You know, it opens up the fresh air door and pulls all that cold air in all night basically, and blows it through the humidicell and brings the humidity up and cools the cellar off. So it's trying to control it for basically the cheapest option is going that way, but you can run the refrigerant through the summer. Okay, the bracket has been installed. It's a 1-bolt wonder. Works perfect. Woo! Smooth as butter. Well, I think I'm gonna take her for a spin here. Make sure everything starts up fine. Oh yeah, she always starts fine. Yeah, she never cleans up. Looking good. Let's take her for a spin. Turn around over here and okay. Everything seems to be working good. The stub. Yeah, just going through the trucks. But my next thing is the Mac I bought. I bought it about a year ago and had to do a bunch of work to it. I put way too much time into it. But it's got some pretty gnarly tires on it. It looks pretty good hooked up to the cattle pods. But I put a new compressor on it, and it blew a hole in the side of the air compressor. So I don't know if the it's hard to see in there, the blue air compressor, but it could have broke that center oiling tube, or I don't know, I could have messed something up. It's a pain to get in that side of the chassis with these cab overs, and it blew all the oil out of it. And yeah, so it's just got an EM6 in it. I think it's a 297, but it runs pretty good. It's got the fuel turned up on it, all LED lights. I replaced all the lights in it. Got the original Bulldog on it. It's a 79. But yeah, it's got the double stacks, headache rack. I put air dumps on it, so it does have dumps. The back, LED lights. I made mounts for some things. For light mount, redid all of the transmission, shift, air, basically that whole air splitter can be rebuilt. So I rebuilt that, and getting those points set for the right amount of throw is kind of a pain. You can't see and you're kind of guessing. And yeah, and then I redid all the air lines for all the shift solenoids and quick dump valves, put an air dryer on it. Had to rewire all of the trailer lights. Had to rewire basically everything inside. It was a mess. I think I still have the stuff off. Yeah, you can tell it was used a lot. But yeah, so there's the trailer plugs. That's the trailer plug that goes underneath, so there's no trailer lights. Got all the lights working. It's a mess under here. But yeah, so it's got a plug that goes back. Yeah, so I have the panel for all that in there. It's just off to work on everything. What else did I do? Trying to think. I replaced the thermostats in it, modern thermostats. It has a bad exhaust manifold leak. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool old truck. It's a Mack Western. This thing has been put to work. It needs still cleaned up, but it's got the old spurs and the sleeper and everything. It's got the I forget which transmission, but it's basically a 12 speed because it has multiple reverse gears. It's like driving a Super 10, but backwards, basically, the Super 10 transmission. Because your high side is this direction. So that is like your direct, basically, and this is like your low range. So you drive it like a Super 10 and split. You split between every shift. And then, yeah, and then it's weird. It's got neutral, split, and reverse. You have 5 reverse gears in this thing. So I don't know technically what you would call it. I guess if you counted every gear, this would be a 15 speed with every reverse gear. So it's pretty crazy to drive. But yeah, I redid all those airlines. They're all messed up. New air control valves, new trailer, air brake control valves. So everything is brand new. Basically from here to line-wise. But the pedal gets a little funky, definitely on distributing air, but everything past the pedal is brand new. That's basically what I meant to say, because it's the trailer air relay, like all that side, the air relays, the brake relays, by the axles, all that stuff is new. So, I mean, that was the one thing I didn't want to worry about, is losing air on the trailer. So, and obviously the truck. But yeah, I redid all the lines. And from the compressor all the way to the tanks are all new lines. Yeah, so still a lot more to go. I gotta find an air compressor. I need a new core because that core blew apart. And it was like one of the last ones I could find. And it's such a unique air compressor. It's like a 601, or I forget what TrueFlow it is. But I'm going to put a modern like 750 compressor on. I think I can get it to fit in there. I just want to make everything easy to work on. And then replace the exhaust manifold gaskets. And I don't know, maybe a new turbo. A modern turbo on this thing would be pretty sweet. But yeah, it's pretty sweet. So yep, still got full batteries and everything. But she's low on oil. I trucked her in here because she blew all the oil out when the compressor blew, obviously. So yeah, I'll get to that someday.